What if I told you most of your day is not consciously lived, that many of your decisions are happening below your awareness, and that your brain has been quietly taking control? Not in an obvious way, but in small automatic patterns. You wake up, you check your phone, you scroll without thinking, you react automatically, almost like your body already knows the script. And before you notice, the day is gone. Hours disappear into tiny, unconscious moments. Small actions stack without resistance. And you barely remember how you spent your time. Not because you chose it, but because your brain was on autopilot. Running familiar patterns in the background, following loops it has repeated thousands of times. Executing behaviors with almost zero conscious effort. The uncomfortable truth is this: your brain is designed to automate your life. It is constantly looking for ways to save effort. It wants efficiency more than awareness. And it will always choose the easiest, repeated path. Not to make you lazy, not to sabotage you, but to save energy. Because from a biological perspective, efficiency means survival, and your brain still operates on very ancient rules. The human brain consumes a massive amount of energy every single day, even when you feel like you're doing nothing. It is always processing, predicting, and adjusting, managing thousands of internal operations silently. And energy conservation is always the priority. So to survive, it learned something powerful. Turn repeated behaviors into automatic programs. Build shortcuts wherever possible. Reduce the need for conscious effort, and make familiar actions almost effortless. Habits, routines, patterns. Invisible behavioral scripts running in the background. Quiet systems shaping your daily decisions. At first, this was useful. Extremely useful, actually. It helped humans survive harsh environments. It reduced cognitive overload in dangerous situations, and it made learning more efficient over time. Walking, brushing your teeth, driving familiar roads, typing without looking at the keyboard, even the way you respond to certain messages. All of this became easier because of automation, because repetition carved deep neural pathways, because the brain optimized for speed and efficiency, because familiar actions require less mental effort, and less effort always wins inside the brain. But modern life hacked this system, completely and aggressively, in ways your brain was never designed to handle, and the overload is happening every single today. Your autopilot is being flooded. From the moment you wake up, from the moment you unlock your phone, from the moment the first notification appears, the stimulation never really stops. Endless scrolling, short-form videos, constant notifications, instant gratification everywhere. A perfectly engineered environment for distraction. Your brain adapted, because adaptation is what it does best. It learned the fastest reward loops. It strengthened the easiest behaviors, and it optimized for immediate stimulation. And now, it runs more of your life than you realize. Quietly, efficiently, automatically, without asking for your permission, without waiting for conscious approval. You don't just check your phone. Your hand moves there automatically, almost before you even notice the impulse. Almost like a reflex, like a deeply trained behavioral loop. You don't decide to procrastinate. Your body drifts there effortlessly. One small distraction leads to another, and suddenly, you're off track again. Without ever making a clear decision, you don't choose distraction. Your mind defaults to it. Because default paths are easier to follow, because familiar loops feel comfortable, and because effort always feels heavier. Because every time you repeat a behavior, the autopilot gets stronger. The pathway becomes smoother. The reaction becomes faster, and the habit becomes harder to interrupt. Neural pathways become deeper, faster, more efficient, more automatic with every repetition, more dominant inside your daily behavior. And slowly, conscious control becomes weaker. Not because you lost discipline, but because automation became stronger and the balance quietly shifted. This is why sometimes you feel like you're watching your own life from the outside, like you're present, but not fully in control, like your actions are slightly ahead of your awareness, like your days blur together, like something is running in the background, like you're moving, but not fully choosing, reacting more than deciding, following impulses more than intentions, repeating more than creating, like your days are repeating themselves. Small variations of the same loop, the same patterns showing up again and again, the same distractions pulling your attention, the same routines running on schedule. Wake up, scroll, work, distracted, seek quick relief. Repeat the cycle again, not because you're broken, not because you're weak, not because you lack potential, but because your brain optimized for efficiency in a world full of engineered distractions. And here's where it gets dangerous, because autopilot itself is not the enemy, but unconscious autopilot can quietly shape your life without resistance, without awareness. Autopilot doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't evaluate your long-term plans. It doesn't measure your ambitions. It simply follows repetition, and repetition always wins. It doesn't care about your future. It only cares about what you repeat most, what you reinforce daily, what you return to automatically, what becomes familiar and easy. If you repeat distraction, you automate distraction. If you repeat avoidance, you automate avoidance. If you repeat comfort, you automate comfort. Over time, your life starts reflecting your strongest loops, not your intentions, your loops, your repeated defaults, your unconscious patterns. This is why intelligent people still procrastinate, why motivated people still feel stuck, why disciplined people sometimes feel like they're fighting themselves. Because they are. They are fighting automation. They're fighting automated versions of their own behavior. Versions built slowly over time. Versions reinforced through repetition. Versions that feel natural now, even when they work against them. But here's the part most people never hear. Autopilot is powerful, but it is not permanent. It can be interrupted. It can be retrained. The moment awareness enters the system, automation weakens. The loop hesitates. The pattern slows down, and a gap begins to appear. The moment you notice the impulse to scroll, a small gap appears. A moment of choice returns. A tiny window of control opens. And that window matters more than you think. The moment you pause before reacting, control begins to return. Slowly at first, almost imperceptibly, but powerfully over time. Most people never create that gap. They move too fast. Impulse becomes action instantly. Habit overrides awareness, and the loop continues. They move from impulse to action in milliseconds. Completely unconscious, completely automatic. But you don't need to overhaul your entire life to break autopilot. You don't need extreme discipline. You don't need perfect motivation. You just need awareness. Consistent, intentional awareness. You just need to start noticing. Notice the small impulses. Notice the automatic reaches. Notice the unconscious clicks. Notice the patterns. Notice when your hand reaches for the phone. Notice when your focus starts drifting. Notice when you open apps without intention. Notice when time starts slipping away. Notice the moment the loop begins. That moment of awareness is the beginning of taking your brain back. It is small, but powerful. Subtle, but transformative. Quiet, but disruptive. Because the real danger was never autopilot itself. It was living on it, without realizing, without questioning, without interrupting the loop. So the next time you catch yourself moving automatically, pause. Just for a second. Interrupt the pattern. Create the gap. Because the moment you become aware, the autopilot starts losing control.